The fun part. Exposition is a very powerful technique of confrontation with an anxiety or phobia-related stimulus in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. This technique has already been used in the middle of the 20th century by behavior therapists and was afterwards adopted by cognitive pioneers such as Aaron Beck, describing the cognitive and behavioral rationale, for example, in one of his courses 1979. Early behavioral experiments showed that direct confrontation with phobic stimuli, without avoidance, leads to habituation and a substantial decrease in anxiety in most humans and animals. The development of different confrontational methods included gradient confrontation, starting with stimuli that are perceived as less dangerous on a subjective scale and proceeding to the more dangerous ones, well as non-gradient procedures or flooding, which starts directly with the feared object or situation or animal, etc. More recent approaches even include concepts for so-called one-session treatment, as developed by West for specific phobias. The traditional way of confrontation is to use imagination, confrontation in sensu, or to use real-life situations, confrontation in vivo. Relatively early in media development, the question of possible additional forms of confrontation has been asked, for example confrontation in video. Already 2002, an article in the practice-oriented German-speaking journal Psychotherapeutische Plaxis has been published that mentions the use of so-called computer simulations in psychological practice as equivalent method. Virtual reality as an adjunct in psychological practice is not limited to confrontational techniques. Another relevant example is the inclusion of virtual environments in newer therapies of the so-called third wave. That term has been described by Stephen Hayes, 2004, as description for the mindfulness and acceptance-oriented cognitive behavioral therapies that have already been included in practical work in earlier years. All therapies in the third wave have that common goal to undermine destructive, or maladaptive, using the traditional term, cognitions, emotions and behaviors. All mentioned therapies include experiments and a lot of training to accomplish the individual goal. As well as for confrontation, exercising in real life using mindfulness or similar concepts is quite complicated because a lot of unpredictable and uncontrollable situations happen in real life. Although of course relevant, because exactly that is the complicated aspect of life for many people. For working on a special skill or awareness is easier if disturbances are reduced. Listening to the voices of nature around, for example, is a very powerful and meditative exercise in mindfulness training that can easily be ruined by an emergency helicopter landing near that spot chosen for the exercise. However, virtual environments offer 100% control, including the option to simulate unpredictability in certain situations. In addition, the virtual environment can easily be enhanced to increase motivation based on individual preferences of the participant. That option to increase the motivation by using the technological and psychological possibilities is the fun part of working with virtual environments. The work itself is based on group work and a multi-professional team. Only technological and psychological experts together, including aspects of treatment, design, development, programming and other relevant parts of every virtual environment, are able to develop a motivating game that is effective, includes enough options to generate individual settings based on clinical psychological diagnostic aspects, and is motivating enough to actually be fun to play. What is known for children is the same for adolescents. Learning in combination with fun is more effective and guarantees long-term changes. Fun in games is based on an interesting storyline, graphics and all other mentioned aspects and many others. Those basic requirements for fun already show that it is not possible that a single profession is able to create all that. It is definitely a challenge to combine VR with the motivational character of games. Although games are an essential part of all known human cultures, the impact has grown over the past decades. Games for Health offer a novel multidisciplinary working approach for psychologists, game designers and computer scientists, but they should solely concentrate on the player experience. We do not believe that psychologists can be game designers and vice versa. We need a strong interdisciplinary cooperation to focus on the player's needs. Psychologists can be advocates for players, providing fundamental knowledge about the impact of games, the side effects and, last but not least, elements of therapy. Game designers provide creativity, inspiration and a motivational immersing player experience.